Hello everyone, my name is Kittipon Kauta or Tony. I'm going to make a presentation about improving better understanding toward the audience of AEC or Australian Electoral Commission by informing findings and recommendation toward the AEC. The analytics tool called CrowdTangle and Tableau will be used in this research. CrowdTangle, as one of effective analytic tools, we can measure performance of interactions or engagement during specific period by using CrowdTangle to study both user and temporal metrics. CrowdTangle provides content only from public users. In other words, personal users or private accounts can be generally studied by manual analysis, which restricts a variety of deeper analysis. In terms of reach and engagement analysis, CrowdTangle does not contribute to those metrics of impressions or how many times the data were totally accessed by the audience. CrowdTangle is considerably useful in this context of research since we can see how public user activity across social media platforms change over time, together with manual analysis that the tool gives links to connect. Limitations. Data are available only within a range of time, for example from 2014 to 2022. Strategies used in this report did not employ specific data type, which generally inform and suggest from the context of what CrowdTangle has offered. CrowdTangle can be used only until November 2022, and election prediction seems to be a very difficult problem and one that is unlikely to succeed because of biasing factors such as social media users tending to be younger, richer, and less technophobic than average. After installing plugin CrowdTangle to Google Chrome, the numeric figures appear from all four social media platforms, which consist Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. From this, we can see number of time posted, total interactions, total followers, and below top referrals bar, they're the list of source, or we can call the accounts or the pages, depends on definition of each platform. This is called in parentheses as followers because CrowdTangle counts any public accounts who interacted with the AEC webpage so far. You can also see the data posted when they received highest interactions ranking from high to low, top to bottom. Also, the links for basic checking that brings to the page. Let's start looking at Facebook because it has highest engagement rate calculated from total interactions and followers as we can see on the top left. Without filtering out the year before 2022, here found an interesting spot. When a Facebook page called The Simpsons Against the Liberals posted about previous election in 2017, trying to promote young voters aged between 18 to 24 to vote for equal marriage by sarcastically refer to the government that they do not want the marriage equality. Even though I'm not Australia, from this post it can be assumed that the Prime Minister at the year was not the young's favorite due to some conservative and dictative kind of thoughts. Moreover, since it's from the comics, this page can be popular for the young voters who just started to get into the election sphere and want to make their country better. Next, looking at year 2022, year during period of federal election this year. Post that received highest engagement is from Tanya Pubersek, Australian Minister for the Environment and Water. Since this year's trend was all about climate change, Minister is apparently responsible for the hot topic by posting her 19-year-old self to illustrate her empathy toward current young generation who suffer from insecurities from COVID-19, at the same time announcing her standpoint of a dedication to the climate issue. This could be a good reason and motivation for the young voters to use their voice at election and demand better, as she claimed. In addition, aside from news and daily life that lots of people didn't like previous Prime Minister Scott Morrison, this post from Tanya accentuated the reality that lots of Australian citizens really wanted to change the Prime Minister at the moment on 14 April. For Twitter section, there's only one official account of AEC who engaged with their own website, so CrowdTangle failed at collecting valid data from Twitter, or it could mean that people didn't talk that much about AEC on the Twitter, which I think the former choice is more reasonable. That's why there appears only one account with total 2 interactions, so we're not going to pay too much attention on Twitter data because there's scant data to dig into. This is counted as one of the limitations of this analysis. For Reddit, top posts in interactions. Both 2017 and 22 years are from the same account, Australia. They are about general updates about the election, especially poll and election results. This means lots of audiences like to discuss descriptively in text on Reddit because this platform focuses mainly on discussion board and how people will discuss toward each another. For Instagram's top post from an account called Ashley Ross in 2017 and the Daily Oz in 2022. This implies that the campaign to promote motivation for young voters are continuous issue since many years ago until today. From this visualization, we found that the number of interactions are not always correlate with the number of followers in the same way. Even though Reddit account Made Me Smile has over 5 million followers, concerning AEC it just received 5 comments. Over here, there's no interesting news to catch up, thinking from real audience perspective. On the contrary, the account Tanya with much less followers but gained the highest engagement rate as described in the previous slides. Moreover, one picked up spot is the ABC News page ranking 3rd in followers but received less interactions compared to the page Australia. This implies that social influencer or celebrity, such as the famous minister as public figure of citizens, can potentially promote visibility of AEC webpage better than typical news media. It can be noticed here that compared to celebrity accounts, official AEC accounts across all social media platforms had to publish articles multiple times in order to get to the certain level of high interactions. From this slide, we can spot that The Simpsons Facebook page is good at grabbing young voters' attention, noticed from ranking number 4 among all social media pages. This helps AEC achieve in their success of increasing equity by having more voters, especially who that just turned 18 to enroll for this important election. From this top 10 sources with highest interactions bar graph, it's not surprising that Tanya has highest engagement as mentioned, while AEC's official account, such as their Facebook page, has to post many times than Tanya to receive this 7th rank amount of interactions. Some issues spot in the comment section about AEC that they couldn't make it in time for supporting people who got affected by COVID-19, with about 200 likes on Facebook but received comparatively lots of negative feedback from the audiences, made it exceeded 102,000 interactions. This visualization on the left shows that running total of followers, count listings, and interactions has escalated from year 2016 to this year concordantly with a greater amount of social media users by every year. The visualization on the right shows the activities during the peak time of election around April and May this year where people cast out their votes. From here, we found that the most popular platform is Facebook, followed by Instagram and Reddit consecutively. And this visualization shows during period of highest interactions on AEC webpage in year 2022. This is the followers trends of each platforms. As you can see that AEC should pay more attention to improve on Instagram content because the trend of followers is clearly more steep than Facebook and Reddit. Therefore, although Facebook is currently doing well in terms of engagement, Instagram is the next trend that AEC is supposed to catch up in order to increase their webpage visibility. From this graph, we can calculate the expected number of interactions if these accounts gain over 1 million followers. From the formulas appearing, if AEC have 1 million followers on Instagram, the interactions are predicted to be 9,200 per post. Facebook will gain 1,474 interactions per post, and Reddit will gain around 1 million interactions per post. This implies that even though focusing on Instagram to increase followers to build more engagement is the most promising trend to follow, Reddit's users are loyal to the platform by showing high engagement despite smaller number of followers. This shows most active users across all platforms. Next, we're going to analyze in each platform starting from the most popular one, Facebook. From the standard deviation of 1,855 plus and minus from the average of 908, it means that posts above 2,763 interactions are considered above normal. Aside from Tanya's above normal post, here's another example from Steve Dixon, receiving 2,960 interactions. This post is about suggesting channel to email complaints to the AEC, which clearly tend to be the issue at the day around posted time of 6th of June, followed by an example of normal interactions, 2,133 from the public account who's supposed to be Aboriginal, promoting election for all and supporting climate change standpoint that is the trend of this year. This is how the post with average interactions look like, mostly about informative content. From this, the poor performing post here is from ABC Sunshine Coast about 3 ways to vote early. This implies that people are not interested in this topic that much. Second, by using the same statistical formula, it means that posts above 1,010 interactions are considered above normal for Instagram. Aside from the highest interactions of account, the daily odds, the another above normal post is from Scott Ludlam. The posts received average accounts are, for example, about promoting voters to vote and emphasizing about climate change. What surprised us here is the poor performing post of Instagram is from this account supporting indigenous people to go and vote. This will be delved deeper into interesting details on the webpage AEC in the specific menu about voters who are indigenous in latter section. For Reddit, interactions over 465 are considered above normal. And here are the representative posts of above normal interactions. This is normal interactions. And this is poor performing, which content was deleted by Reddit. This can be one of limitations for conducting analytics when some data is incomplete. Next, we're looking at indigenous voters section in AEC and see how many engagement they received across platforms. Little than expected, since there are only Facebook and Instagram that have enough digital data from CrowdTangle to analyze. As same as main AEC webpage, the indigenous page also gained many followers and interactions during the election period around April and May of this year. Here spotted Nacho or Nacho Australia Instagram account with far less followers than other accounts above, but received comparatively high interactions when the post is about encouraging and informing indigenous people to vote, while official AEC Facebook account also received highest engagement in second ranking after Reconciliation Australian page. Ethical and legal considerations. Start from CrowdTangle's terms of service. CrowdTangle is not responsible from any misuses, both ethically and legally, caused by users who use this tool to conduct audience analytics. CrowdTangle is a very useful tool for analyzing and synthesizing the real issues happening, looking from the digital data from public users. But manual analysis from private users are possible. Therefore, protecting privacy and security of users are essential, considering in the scope of ethical and legal considerations. The risk of CrowdTangle can be reverse engineered by misconduct can potentially cause big problems, especially in the serious issues such as election. Without authorization from CrowdTangle, digital data analysts cannot sell or use the data for commercial and business purposes. CrowdTangle is from America, so the ultimate decision in terms of law will be considered within the context and restriction within America. Audience analytics bring about more convenience in analyzing existing data and the solutions to various issues such as political discussion. However, balancing between good and bad is becoming more intricate when those data from social media users can be easily collected without the clear acknowledgement of users' permission. Since platforms' context including conducting audience analytics is a reflection from the society, there is no final answer that one size may fit all types of criteria as we are surrounded by uncertainties. Especially in the digital era where digital technologies are growing fast and becoming more complex. Considering more deeply about increased an ethical perspective is critical by adopting case-by-case framework altogether with special care and respect to all stakeholders related. Consent is an ethical requirement when conducting research with human participants. It doesn't only rely on age, but also rely on the rights of participants to acknowledge any possible harm and benefits toward themselves and to the society according to the research proposed, and to appreciate the potential consequences of any decision they make based on the information. Data handling on using CrowdTangle is a very important point to think about. Ethically, the researchers should ensure that users' data is safe from leaking by including data encryption, storage location, and secure server technology. Next, social media data is challenging in terms of handling because it's passive data which users have little ideas that their activities online would be used in which direction, aspects, or purposes. However, there's a guideline from the Association of Internet Researchers that suggests to carefully define between private and public space and tension between regulatory and context-specific ethical decision-making. This means it is ethically problematic to ask for consent from participants because do they even know that their data are possible to be used to conduct research? Thus, when it comes to ethics, deciding on case-by-case basis is the most promising method. Also, for legal consideration, even though collecting digital data from users is considered legal basically, if the participants exposed to the researchers that they did some illegal or harmful activity, should the researchers inform the officials to make it right for society overall, or should them keep it silent? Because they have to maintain trusting relationships with participants. Therefore, the solution here in terms of legal is unclear, but it can be fundamentally conducted by adding this sentence in the consent form. All information provided to the researcher would be treated in the strictest confidence unless the researcher was legally obliged to disclose information related to the illegal activity if requested by relevant authorities. However, the possible issue is majority of participants may not be satisfied in taking part in or letting their data used since they have little clue about which activity they might accidentally or intentionally have done so far on social media. Consequently, this can lead to invalid, ineffective, or even distorted research outcome that can potentially occur if there's an imbalance in number of participants. In the end, it's not about minor or major of participants. It's about risk and intricacy to all of participants in the same degree of challenge, complexity and length of term of services that is unchangeable, and users' background, vulnerability, rights to protect their personal information. Next, data de-identification is supposed to be used aside from these assignments proposed because it helps protecting users' privacy and security. The area of RRI, or Responsible Research and Innovation, can be considered as a fresh team or special committee as an independent sector to manage ethical concerns, since effective consent depends on perspective of autonomy, competence, disclosure, understanding, and voluntariness. From my point of view, shifting mindset lens from lose-win to win-win is useful in terms of contributing to public interest as well as maintaining safe and grounded for participants' rights of privacy. Since there is no one-size-fits-all for ethics due to complexity of various factors such as stakeholders, considering case by case is the best practice in common sense because it requires specific context before proceed any decision or considerations toward each research. And the researcher should determine participants' expectations and gain informed consent, then proceed to the research conduct. In informed consent, there's a waiver for users to understand scope that researcher can use their digital footprints for the research purpose. So, in order to not resulting in backlash, we as researchers or digital data analysts should cooperate with RRI to propose the most promising informed content that clearly describe the sense of waiving users' normative expectations for accomplishing the goal of particular research for social benefits. Key takeaways. 1. Posts with sense of humor and storytelling tend to receive higher engagement than typical informative posts, except the posts that are controversial about some issues related to the election. 2. Supporting and raising awareness of citizens who just turned 18 or young generations to understand the importance of election so that they have motivations to go for vote. 3. Increasing visibility towards indigenous citizens are critically important to encouraging them to participate in the election. 4. Even though audience is considered social institution of journalism, balancing between neutrality and popularity of the AEC webpage is supposed to be taken in further continuous consideration, since AEC is the official government organization, but their promotion of visibility should be based on providing the convenient information that are useful for all citizens across social media platforms in order to maintain its credibility of media. And the last one, social media platforms are different depending on their purposes, features, and affordances they provide to the audience. All platforms are promoting younger generation and indigenous to be aware of their valuable voice so that they go and vote for the election. However, Facebook has a good balance between pictures or visuals and text in appropriate amount as the platform was designed for a wide range of users. It also receives higher engagement than other platforms since it uses sense of humor, empathy, and storytelling to capture audience attention. Next, Reddit is rich in context of discussions. Even with lower followers, it still remains significant number of interactions that full of informative and discursive content. Instagram is also a good platform for social celebrities to expose the message to young generation and indigenous people. It can be noticed from top posts that from 2017 and until now, the issue of encouraging the citizens who just turned 18 to see the importance of going to vote. Reference list. Thank you for watching.